All right, welcome to this next video. So this is one of the final videos in the series. It's our FAQ video, and what we're going to do in this video is just go over frequently asked questions that you're going to encounter at different points throughout the sales process. So I think one important fact is just knowing what our philosophy is in our three-pronged approach. So I think that this helps frame things when you're talking to a potential customer. But basically, our philosophy at Learn Music is that we teach people the things they need to know to be great musicians by incorporating the type of music that made them want to learn to play an instrument in the first place. And we call this building a custom curriculum. And our three-pronged approach is that we do this three main ways. We do it through private lessons, performance, and playing in bands. So private lessons, Learn Music Live, and Legends. So I think that isn't an answer that you're going to give people directly. Like, they're not going to be like, well, do you have a two-pronged approach or a three-pronged approach? They're going to, just say, tell me a little bit about your lessons. That's an interesting kind of framework to work from. I think where that would all come together is a lot of times when I'm talking to somebody and they have questions, I'll say something like, most of our potential customers, what they find helpful is if I just give them a rundown of sort of who we are, what we do, and how it works. So is it all right if I go ahead and do that for you? I think it'll answer a lot of your questions. And they'll say, sure. And I'll say, and so first I'll cover logistics. I'll say, great. So when a student signs up for lessons at Learn Music, we reserve either 30, 45, or 60 minutes of one of our teachers' time. The lesson is the same time, same day with the same teacher every week. And that spot is the students as long as they want it. They can also end lessons at any time. We just need 2 weeks notice. And the way that we price our lessons is it's a flat monthly rate for lessons. So what that means is if there's a fifth week in the month, we don't charge any extra for that week. Fifth weeks are free. And on average, a student's going to get 3 to 5 fifth weeks per year. And so those are going to go, to offset any days where the student might be sick and may not be able to give notice. But they're free lessons. And so, and then what I would do from there is give them the pricing. So I would say a weekly 30-minute lesson is $175 a month. A weekly 45 is $225 a month. And then a weekly hour is $285 a month. And just remember, those fifth weeks are free. That's a flat monthly rate. I feel like that's a strong selling point, that fifth weeks are free point. So I really try to kind of hone in on that a lot. So that's kind of logistically how things work. The only other thing that I would maybe include in there is our cancellation policy. But I actually wouldn't include it right there. I would wait to say that a little later. So we'll come back to that. So next, what I would go into is our teaching philosophy. And I would say, I usually break for questions. So I would say something like, so that's how lessons work. Do you have any questions about that? Or I'd say that's how lessons work. I'll tell you a little bit more about our teaching philosophy, but before I do that, do you have any questions? They'll probably say no. And then you'll say, great. So the way that we teach is at Learn Music, we build a custom curriculum for every student. And the reason we do that is because we know that it doesn't matter, and this is a line I use a lot, but it doesn't matter if you want to learn a Beethoven song or a Black Sabbath song. A G chord is a G chord. We know our students have different goals and interests, and so we try to teach them the musical concepts they need to know to be great musicians, using or incorporating the music that made them want to learn to play an instrument in the first place. So what that means is that we're going to approach lessons different for every student, and we're going to approach it differently for an adult than we would a kid. But we really believe in building that custom curriculum because that's what engages the student. So that's kind of like the what we do and how it works. And then the only thing that I would add to that, and I would probably add this on the front end of the conversation, is a little bit about Learn Music. Learn Music's been around for 10 years. It's October 7th, 2024 at the time of making this video. So at this time, we've been around for 10 years. We started in 2014, in August of 2014. And we love what we do. We do three main things. We do private lessons, We have a performance program that allows students to get up on stage and play, and then we put students in bands. We have an amazing team of teachers, and we are able to teach a wide variety of styles. So if I could go back and say all that over, the way that I would say it is I would start with just a little bit about Learn Music, kind of how long we've been around for, size of our staff. I think sometimes too, I'll tell people, we, believe it or not, we actually teach about 430 students a week, which at the time of making this video, that's how many we teach. And I don't say that to brag, but I just say that to give them the scope of, we're not like a little music school. Like, we teach a lot of students. We've been able to experience some success with what we do because we're good at it. And I think it's important, like that subtle flex. I think it's important because it makes them realize, like, hey, we've been around for a while. We have a lot of students. That must mean people like what we're doing. So again, backing up, I tell them a little bit about our background, and then I would go into how lessons work, and then I would go to how we approach teaching music. So yeah, and then we already talked about our lesson pricing in there. The only thing that we didn't talk about is every once in a while we'll do a 15-minute lesson. We charge $87.50 a month for that, but that's kind of a special case thing. It's not it's not something that we advertise. So I don't know that this is something that somebody's going to ask, but I think it's good information to know. We, as far like how does our pricing compare to other schools? For other schools our size, we are about the same or below average. So our two main competitors are Bach to Rock and School of Rock. School of Rock is much more expensive than us. They're about $60 a month more than we are for a weekly 30-minute lesson. And then when you add on their band program, it's you're kind of in the mid threes, I believe, like low to mid threes with their band program. So we're pretty we're right in between Bach to Rock and School of Rock. So we're kind of average, I would say. But we offer far more than other music schools do for our price. The great thing about our school is that we're locally owned, but we have the resources of a big school, which is really great. Somebody might ask, why are we better than other music schools? I would say, we're not a franchise, so we're able to be more flexible in our approach to teaching. A lot of times when you're a part of a franchise, you have to teach a specific curriculum, and that curriculum may not work for every student. So we're able to truly build that custom curriculum. I also say, we have some of the best music teachers around. We have a very, very talented staff. And I say this with all due respect, but it's just a fact that on average, our teachers have a much higher skill level than teachers at Bach to Rock and School of Rock. We have an incredible teaching staff. And something else that I'll highlight there is I'll say, not only do we have an incredible teaching staff, we have an incredible team of musicians, but our teachers are also good at teaching, which those two things don't always go together. And I think that that's a common fear for parents, so I think preemptively calling that out and addressing that is a big win. So I would also say, we're better than other schools because of the amount of performance opportunities that we offer. So students are able to get up on stage at a much more consistent or a much more regular on a much more regular basis with us than with other schools. So yeah, that's some of why we're better than other schools. Cancellation policy. So our cancellation policy is when a student cancels without when a student cancels, and I like to lead with the positive first. When a student cancels with 24 hours notice and the teacher has availability, we're always able to schedule a makeup lesson. And so it is also important to note, and I don't know that we need to explicitly say this because we're kind of saying it with the line about and the teacher has availability. At Learn Music makeups, while we make every effort to schedule a makeup lesson. Makeups aren't guaranteed. They are subject to teacher availability, but generally we're able to work something out. And also, I would say when a teacher is unable, when they don't have availability, we can also put a student on another teacher's schedules for that week. And then I would highlight our learning management system and how, any teacher can see what any student's doing at any time and pick up where they left off. If a student cancels without 24 hours notice, we're unable to schedule a makeup lesson. And the reason is, the reason's not important. There's really multiple reasons, but we're unable to schedule a makeup lesson. But the silver lining is, if it's the sort of thing where the student's at home and they're sick, but like too sick to come out to take a lesson, but they're well enough to take a lesson, we can do at home, we can do an online lesson, or we can do a pre-recorded video lesson. I also like to highlight, and that's why we don't charge extra for fifth weeks, is because those 3 to 5 fifth weeks that a student's going to get every year go to offset the weeks where they may not be able to let us know that they can't come to a lesson with 24 hours notice. All right, moving on. Do we teach our students to read music? Our teachers are able to teach our students to read music. It's not something that we do for every student because some students don't want to learn to do that. While we do think that there is a big benefit to learning to read music, we know that we're going to lose some students. But I guess the way that I would answer that is say we love teaching students to read music. If that's something that's important to you, we want to make sure we put your student with a teacher who's going to teach them primarily through like standard notation. So I think kind of, not highlighting that we don't teach some students to do it by choice, but just saying we can absolutely teach your student to read music. If that's something important to you, then we'll make sure we put him or her with a teacher that's going to use that approach. Do our teachers have degrees? Some do, some don't. Some have advanced degrees, some have advanced experience. We don't believe that you need a college degree to be a good musician. Do we come to people's homes? Nope. And we probably never will. When somebody asks me that, I say, no, we don't. All of our lessons, and again, I try to spin it positively. All of our lessons happen in our amazing brick and mortar studio in Cornelius. Do we rent instruments? We rent pianos and guitars right now. It's kind of an experimental thing. You can tell them yes. You can let them know that it costs $25 per month, and then you can direct them to me, and I'll take care of that. We don't know what instrument to buy. Can you help us? Yes, we can absolutely help you. I'm going to send an email to our owner and let him know that you're looking for instruments, and he's going to go ahead and send you some links. Those are all the questions, I think, that all the big ones that are important. There's going to be things that you're going to not know the answer to, and so I would just don't be scared to use a line. I'm not 100% sure about that. Let me check with our owner, and I'm going to get back to you, and then we could talk about that. Also, don't feel like you have to answer things exactly the way that I am answering them. It's okay if you have your own flair, as long as you're in line with Learn Music's mission, vision, and values, okay? I don't expect you to do this just like me, but I want you to have your own flair. You're going to do it differently. The only time that would be a problem is if it was we were telling people things that weren't true, or we were in conflict with our mission, vision, or values. So always use those things as a filter. But hopefully this video is helpful for you. Thanks so much, and I'll talk to you later.